Okay, check, check. Yo, yo, it's your boy, Sean Goody, about to do the damn thing. Let's make sure the audio is good this time. I think it should be a lot better, but let's make sure. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think we good. So, where does that leave us? We didn't do a video last week because I had some stuff going on with my computer. I had to go ahead and replace my old MacBook Pro. Had to forcibly update that thing. You know how it gets. So I was getting the new one in the mail and whatnot, so I couldn't do a video. But we're back, and I guess we'll just update ourselves. We're on the weekly chart, looking at SPY. Lately, I've been kind of going back and forth between SPY and ES because they can be slightly different. Um, let's just take off all these drawings for now. Right now on the weekly chart, they're pretty close. They're pretty close, but especially like on the daily and then the smaller time frames, I was getting a little bit of a different picture on each of those charts. So even though they're very closely related, sometimes it can get a little wacky. On the weekly though, I don't see much going on. Um, you can see I have a trend line going off these highs through there. We're getting bars that are stacking up, so I could even see we might range in this level, kind of in this level. Um, we haven't been to this EMA in a while, so I wonder how long it'd take for us to get that EMA test. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll go straight up. We could go sideways and end up meeting it. But on the weekly chart, we have a leg down, break outside, new low. So really, we're trying to establish the next directional bias, and we're just going sideways until we can figure that out. So this is kind of in strategy. You would expect break, new low, we're going to congest, either continue, congest, reverse. So right now we're just waiting to see what we actually get. If we jump down to the daily, it's a lot more clear. In fact, we had a long trade from a couple weeks ago right here, and we were saying how aggressive that would be. And I remember it pushing pretty close to a one-to-one target, but I don't think it made the one-to-one target before getting stopped out. That's 1.4. Yeah, even like one-to-one, it didn't quite reach before getting stopped out. And that's kind of the thing, going long into the EMA in a downtrend. I was saying at the time it's really aggressive, but we haven't seen many trades on SPY, so I think it was just something to kind of look for. But the better trades are probably going to be shorts, or if you end up really low, some sort of reversion trade. But I just wanted to call back to that trade. Um, so on the daily, you could probably say that we have, remember this congestion zone we broke down, first bull close, new low, so we have a new trend. First bear close, tried to test it once, fails, and now we're making that second attempt to test the 393 level. So that's probably where I could see it going over this next week, is coming to test 393. That'd be my expectation. It'd be important to see if it can break this previous high, and then let's see what happens at about 393. If we get some selling or a strong enough close where maybe we come back up in these levels. But for now, I'm slightly bullish. Um, Interestingly enough, the second entry long was here, but again, it's kind of the same situation as here. I don't want to go long into the EMA in a downtrend, but this was a second entry long right there. And I wonder what that would need to get like a 1-to-1. Probably really close. And that's the thing with, if you take this trade on SPY, I don't think you can get in this trade because of the gap. So even if, you would still need price to pull back, fill, and then go to where it's going to go. But that would be the trade set up for the second entry long to this high. Not a huge fan of that. The EMA got a downtrend. There could be a lot that gets in the way of this long right there. That's what I see on the daily. Let's see over the week. Let's see if we can test this 393 level. That'll be what I'll be looking for. And then on the ES, let's see if we get a similar picture on the ES. So on the ES, it's kind of the same, but not really, because, okay, we still have this downtrend through there. We get this congestion zone right there. We get the breakout side. This is the first bull close and a bear trend. And then we make one attempt to go lower and a second attempt to go lower. So this ends up being our reversal pattern here. And it's also a second entry long. But generally, I don't love going long under that EMA. And then for those failure trades, I feel a little bit better seeing it close before you jump in. Or if you jump in, you really need to make sure it closes in the direction. If this wicks and closes back inside, you got to exit. So you could have been aggressive and maybe traded that. It's a failed break lower of these lows here. If you just look off these lows, you get a failed break lower. And technically, yes, it's still that second entry long off the high side. First entry, second entry. So it's pretty much the same trade. I think on the ES, we have a little bit more of a bearish bias because we still haven't tested these lows. So I wonder how that'll play out long term. If you can still see that we're kind of just in a range still. So same thing for the ES. We're looking for about 39.50. And I want to see if this trend line can hold prices, and that might send us back down to the lows. So not much of no real trades. The trades would have been Sunday, like Thursday there was a potential long trade, but that's on the daily chart, and it's not a great setup. I'm thinking about pulling the QQs because, I mean, it's all the same. You get the same sort of pattern, second entry long. I know it's a little messy. I can clean it up just a little bit. There you go. You can see it now. Same thing as SPY. Breakout side, reversal, 2 attempts to go high. So we're still looking for this 296 test on the triple Qs. A lot of it's the same analysis that you would have on SPY right now. But mainly I'd be looking at this. See how we're above, below, above, below, above. That's congestion. That's a ranging market. You need to be careful, especially holding your trades because they'll reverse kind of quick. And, get short up here, get long down here, and stay away from the middle. Let's see what else we got. Bitcoin. Let's jump on Bitcoin. Let's start off on the weekly chart, and we'll come back to the daily. I mean, still, there's really nothing to talk about on the weekly chart. We almost got a bear close last week, but the sellers ended up pushing it back down into the range. It's really more of a congestion zone than a range, in my opinion. We're getting low volume bars. We're just not getting much. Let's just try to get some of this stuff that's distracting off. Still, we're looking for, we are developing some kind of, I don't want to, maybe support. We're not going lower. But like I was saying a couple weeks ago, even if we get that bull push, we're really looking for it to test this EMA and probably come back and test about 17,682. So even if we get that bull push, I'm still kind of looking for shorts to come back to these lows. Like we were saying last time as well, over the past however many weeks, we haven't had one single bull close. So even when we get that first bull bar, um, that doesn't mean we're in the clear and that we're going back to the highs. We're going to need that bull bar to get tested at least twice, right? They're going to try to push it down once. If that can't go down lower, they'll push it down again. And if it can't go down lower, then maybe you'll start to get that push, um, at least within the system. Of course, it could just shoot off, but within the system, we'd expect at least two more chances for the bears to push it back to these lows. So I don't see anything on the weekly chart unless you're gonna play the just this smaller range, which on the weekly chart you can't even play. You have to jump back down to the daily chart to play the range, and you can see some clear swings on the daily, so it's not too terrible on the daily. Um, you got the second entry short right there. You get another second entry short right here as well. And right now we're kind of sitting with like a lower high. Uh, it's like a third entry short off the low, so there's no real count off the lows. It's just like a lower high. Um, and we got to see how this bar closes. We got about 2 hours before that bar closes. Um, so you could probably just play that range, but there's no real directional bias. It kind of seems like we might just trend sideways and then catch this trend line, and then if the bears are strong enough, we'll get that push. Um, because that's sometimes what happens. When we touch this channel line, we don't always just bounce to the other side. Sometimes you just kind of chop sideways to the other side, and then you get a sell off. So no real trades that I see. This lower high, maybe if this closes bearish, you can consider that. I don't know, sketchy. And it's another Bitcoin chart. Let's go to gold. Let's talk about gold. Gold really. So we already talked about this trade. We were thinking we might get a bounce, but we didn't. I think that's what. Oops. That's what goes back to what we always try to say is that we're finally in our buying zone, right? Like everything else um, was kind of noise. And that's just the hard part. If you go on this weekly chart, you can see that long kind of made sense. Go back to the video from 2 weeks ago and we broke down exactly why this trade could have been better. But if you're looking at it now on the weekly chart, if you get a nice bull bar here, that's a decent trade to the long side. We want to be getting long down here. So this week will be an important week in gold. And if we can get that sort of bull hammer, it's a hammer bar. That'll be a decent long. I really want to make sure that we get the count right. So let me take off some of these lines, make sure we're looking at the right count. Off this high, first entry. It really ended up being off this high, first entry, second entry. So down here, it's more of a third entry. I wonder, since it's not so clear off the high sides, you could probably wait and take the higher low. But on the weekly chart, that higher low would probably take at least another 2 to 3 weeks. So I guess we'll pay attention to that. On the daily chart, so we have this congestion zone. We get a break outside, trade back in, another break outside. So if we look at this last breakout, kind of like Bitcoin, we haven't had one single bull close. So even when we get that bull close, expect some downward pressure. And then once we clear the lows, then we might actually start getting that reversal. So I wouldn't jump on that first bull bar. I would wait, let it clear these lows, and then that might be a better trade. Um, but that's pretty much it. I mean, most of the other markets are starting to consolidate. Uh, at least gold is trending. So over the next week or two, we'll see what we can get in gold. Um, that's what I see. There's not too much going on right now. Uh, but we'll be back next week. I got my computer situation set up, so we'll come back next week and check on everything. I don't want to spend too long today on this, but that's pretty much what I see. That's pretty much what I see. So at least on the spies, I'm really eyeing, what was it? 393. Yeah, 393. That's kind of my target for the week. I think we will probably come and test 393 um, if we can get past this trend line. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what happens this week, and then we'll be back next Sunday to talk about it. So until then, y'all trade well, and I'm signing out. See y'all.